everyone. Welcome back to Love and Life Sorted. I'm Dr. Sandy Toe. And first of all, I have to apologize for my voice because I'd lost it several days ago because of a cold. And it's not come back completely, unfortunately. But, well, the voice is not exactly there, but brain is. Okay, so thoughts are. Right, so, we must continue. And today our topic is of long-standing interest is, should a woman make the first move? Right. Yeah, so I've read like in so many different places that, there's like divided opinion on this. Some people think that women should not make the move. Like the more classic traditional interpretation is that like women should not make the move and this should be like men's domain, right? And well, there's another opinion is that well, women should make the move. Why not? Right? If they want to increase their chances of finding the right partner. Okay, so the answer to this question, should women make the first move, is yes and no. Okay, so I do agree actually with the traditional concepts. There's the book, The Definitive Guide of the 1990s, the mid 90s, called The Rules, written by Fein and Sherrie Schneider. Yeah, like women in the past, like a few decades ago, women in the 90s era, who came of age during this book, they swore by it. Yeah, and I would think that this book still exerts its influence to women nowadays. I wouldn't say that it's completely obsolete. Although, yes, the times have changed like even more with, women being more empowered and women being more high powered and more successful and more accomplished in the workplace and in education and everything. But I don't think that this book has completely lost its influence because so first of all, for people who actually don't know what the rules are, okay, it preaches that women should never make the first move. They should always wait for the man to do that because if women like ask men out, it will prevent like men from knowing if that's really like what they really want, like if they really want to pursue the woman, and it will end in heartbreak because like the men sort of get confused and maybe out of convenience they will probably go on the date with the woman because how men are flattered that women like asking them out, and they get confused as to whether or not that's really what they want because the women had not given them a chance to gauge their interest in the women, right? So if like the women ask the men out, they would usually agree because of like feeling because of ego and like feeling that very appreciated and feeling good about themselves, right? So because they felt like good, and then probably out of politeness as well. Yeah, it's sort of like unchivalrous and ungentlemanly to refuse a woman if they ask you out like for coffee or something. Yeah, it usually like the men they don't want to play the bad guy, so they're not going to reject them, right? So they go on and they have a drink with the woman, or they go on a date and everything, probably like without knowing whether they deep down they actually were interested in the woman first, right? So for Ellen and Sherrie, like their interpretation is that this would not go well down the road for the women because eventually they think that the men would lose interest because it wasn't their first choice. Okay, so they actually didn't choose to ask the woman out if they had the choice, right? So they were not given the choice to think about it, but they were thrown into this position by the women. Okay, so eventually like their idea is that the men would lose interest, and then they would the relationship would go south, and then the men would actually go and pursue the women that really is of their first choice, right? So that is their argument. But given that today a lot has changed in terms of women's having higher education level and being more accomplished in the workplace, and having higher achievements and everything. So it is actually even harder for men to approach them, and it doesn't make it easier. Okay, so men are more prone to be intimidated by accomplished women, was my argument all along, right? And like men, they don't like to fail. That's one thing. And so there's another argument going. Probably you've read Date-onomics and Make Your Move by Jon Birger. Yeah, and I think that makes sense as well, because he refutes the rule. Okay, so he thinks that like nowadays, the women are so high powered and men are so prone to be intimidated, and he thinks that the figures also do not work well for the women, because there are much more higher numbers of highly educated, college educated women than men. So men are basically far exceeding women are far exceeding men in terms of college enrollments, and like having a college education. Basically, there are more women college grads than men, and well, usually it's like the pairing is that people are prone to choose people who are having similar economic status than them. So if given this trend, it is even harder for the women to find eligible men, because the figures they don't lie. So the figures are not on the women's side. So there's more competition nowadays for women to compete for eligible men, because there's like much more single women, like single and accomplished women, than single men out there. So basically, if you don't fight for it and make the move, Berger's argument is that then you will lose out in the marriage market, because if you don't make the move, then it's very likely that someone else will, and it is like a highly competitive market out there, and so that is why he argues that women should make the move. All right, so I think, like, given these two different arguments, I think that okay, so given these two arguments, I think that we should bear in mind both. So why, like the answer to this question, should women make the move, is yes and no, because I on some level I agree with the rules argument that women should not like go all out there to ask a man out. I think that the women should wait for the men to show interest first, to look for signs of interest, and then they should take it from there. Yeah, I agree that the women should still not be the first ones to initiate anything. They should wait for the men to actually maybe ask for their numbers first, or and then they should take it from there. Like, they should not be the ones to ask for the man's number. So once a man has shown clear signs of interest, and it's quite undeniable if they're the ones who ask for your number first, right? And then I think that you should still wait for them to text you first. Okay, so I know nowadays, like, they would ask for your number, and then they would probably like save it on their phone immediately, and then they would give you a call, and then so you would have their number, right? So it's really convenient for like this exchange of numbers in today's phones, right? But I still agree that you should not call the man first or text them first, even if it's just something, innocuous, like, oh, we, had a great chat, or how are you doing? Yeah, that should still be like men's side, right? So men should still do that. So after, like, you have the man's number in your phone too, though if he does text you, at least you know who it is, right? So that sometimes that's how we exchange contacts, just with regular contacts, right? So we do want to know who is texting us, right? So because of so many prank calls and those things nowadays, we do want to be insured. We don't just want to take random texts from strangers, right? So by storing his number on your phone, at least when he texts, you know who it is, right? So that is good, but don't be tempted to be the one to text first, okay? Even though you do have a number, so like, wait. So if he really shows genuine interest, and it's not just a spur of the moment thing that he asked for your number, because sometimes they do, and then they never they never follow up, right? So okay, so forget about that. But for men who actually do follow up and they do send you a text, preferably the next day, asking how you are and maybe immediately asking you for a date, then do respond enthusiastically, I think. Well, not over enthusiastically, but you know what I mean. So if they do actually follow up and ask you, then I think you should respond positively, right? So maybe like reciprocate with like a nice, friendly, happy message as well. Being genuine about like what you're doing, and sometimes they ask you like what you're doing. Be genuine, and also like, yes, I mean, like, if that is your interest, then you should actually say yes to the date. Yeah, why not? Then that is showing reciprocation, and showing like a very positive response that will encourage them to pursue you, right? So my response is that you should open the crack of a door to let the men in, right? So if your door is like completely shut, the men would be discouraged to come in. Yeah, I don't think that they would be like knocking and knocking to break the door down, because that's a sign of harassment, especially in today's world where it's like highly sensitive. We don't want to be harassed. Like, men don't want to seem like overly eager to arouse suspicion from the women, right? So yeah, the chances are, if you keep sort of shutting the door like tight, the men will not, they will be discouraged. Then you will not attract a partner into your life, like by being very aloof and shut down. Yeah, the thing to do is to, first of all, wait for the men to show interest first. There are very clear signs, right? For like asking for your number, asking you out directly on a date, and then you reciprocating by showing a positive response. So that will really motivate them to pursue you. So basically, it's you planting the seed into their brain that they can and they should, and giving them a heads up that you are free to be pursued and you would be interested to be pursued. Okay, so that is why I say it's yes and no. And yeah, I think that if you don't show signs, like you don't encourage them to pursue, then it is actually a loss for you, because first of all, Birger's numbers, like, they are actually correct. In Asia and in virtually all parts of the world, there are more that college enrolled women than men. And so if you're looking to find someone who's around the same has the same background as you, then you would be at a loss because of the high competition out there, right? So if we look at it in very practical terms, it is true that you should actually be more proactive in finding a partner, if that is what you want. Okay, so numbers don't lie. And also, because the more high powered you are, the more intimidated men are and the more encouragement they would need, even though deep down they may really be attracted to you. As I said, like if your door is shut tight, they're not going to break it down because uh, like they don't want to fail. I mean, like who wants to fail, right? So regardless of it being a male thing or woman thing. So for women as well, if you're going into that competition knowing that you have a very high chance to win, of course you would be more confident, right? But if you're entering into something knowing that you don't have a very high chance, then you would shrink and you probably don't even want to sign up for that competition, right? So that's a very natural thing that like the men they don't want to fail. Okay, so who isn't afraid of failure? So the more positive the response is, or the more signs that they have that they would win, the more encouraged they are to pursue. Right? So I think it's a very natural thing. So one very good example is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So how she met Travis, this is a very, very good example because Travis had gone to her era's concert and wanted to give her a friendship bracelet with his number on it, but he failed because, he just didn't see her on the backstage of the concert. And then he sort of announced this as an anecdote, really just very innocently on his podcast with his brother, right? New Heights. And Taylor heard it, and then her friends told her that, yeah, you should give this guy a chance. Like he's like professing his interest in you in his podcast to the public. So what are you waiting for? Like, I think you should give this guy a chance. It is really quite romantic and everything. It's like, it's so sort of honest and so bold that this guy is professing interest in you. So she and Taylor really went for it, and then she made contact with Travis, and the rest is history, right? So this is a perfect example of how it was like Travis has shown interest in Taylor first. Okay, and then Taylor reciprocated by showing positivity, by actually reaching out to Travis because of his gesture. And then look what it ended up with, like how beautiful it ended up. She's now engaged to him. So, that's like the perfect example of, first of all, waiting for the guy to show signs of interest, very clear signs, and then you going for it, you showing positivity, you reaching out, like you showing encouragement, and then for the guy to further pursue you. And I think chances are that Travis would have just left it like that after, sharing this like really cute story on his podcast, like really very innocently, actually. So after sharing the story, if Taylor had not reciprocated, had not reached out, I'm pretty sure that he would have just left it like that. I don't think he would wait for another, 3 years to go like on to her next concert to give her the bracelet again, right? So, I think he would have just left it at that, and then this beautiful love story wouldn't have materialized, right? So I think that this is a really good example of how women should act in terms of motivating men to further pursue you. I remember when I went out with my husband, he also was the first one to get my number and texted me first. And, there was actually the pretext that I was about to go on like a holiday with my parents to Switzerland. And he said he had been before and he knows all about the data roaming service, like how to buy data for your phone. So he was about to actually, no, he was the one who suggested that he would bring me to buy like there was something called a data egg. Yeah, so back in the day, I don't know if it exists now. Probably no. Yeah, it's so easy to just get data on your phone. But back then you had to have like an external thing, right? So he he suggested that we go buy it together or something. But after we set like a date for that, that there was like no mention of that egg at all. So basically I think we forgot about it completely, right? So during the whole entire dinner there was no mention about that, and he didn't take me to buy one. So it was funny, like there was a very convenient pretext of going out on a date. And after that, he texted me every day consistently, like quite a lot during the day. And then I responded very positively. And then I remember that he I think he tried to hint at like going on another date by saying something like there's like a new ice skating rink or something related to ice skating happening in a mall. And I think he was trying to hint at us going or something. So but I said, hey, you can do better than that. Like, how about a movie next time? Yeah, and then he, because like I'm not against ice skating because I know how to ice skate. I've learned that like since I was young, but I just like didn't feel that our next date should be like ice skating. Yeah, just I think that it could be something else. So yeah, I made that like offhanded sort of comment, which looked offhanded but probably wasn't. Okay. And then so he immediately caught on to that. And then he said, oh, great. Like, there's this movie on, let's go watch it. And then, yeah, so the rest is history. And then so we went to watch it, had dinner, had a like smashing time. And then the rest is history. Like, no more excuses had to be made. We basically were yeah, we were smitten and everything. So yeah, I think that it's really important to respond positively and to give the men encouragement so that you don't lose out. Okay, so given that women nowadays are much more accomplished than before and men are more prone to be intimidated, they really need more of a nudge, and it's a perfectly normal thing. It's just human nature, isn't it? So, the more encouraging you are, the more of a chance that the men would be motivated to pursue you, right? And don't forget that in this day and age, remember, marriage is a want and not a need, right? So men, they know it too inherently, that it's not like before when they go to like one of those balls, and then it's so easy for them to ask a woman to dance, to ask a woman out on a picnic, because they know that the women must get married, right? So they're depending on them to reach out and to ask for their hand in marriage, and it's a perfectly like a natural, normal thing in the olden days, But now, like women can, they can survive on their own, and they don't actually need to get married, right? It's like it's a personal preference, and they can be perfectly well on their own. And so that is why the men, they are more deterred from approaching women, knowing that they don't have like, basically like a 100% winning situation out there, because women, they don't need them, they don't need to get married to them. So they have more of a freedom to choose the lifestyle they want, for most women, right? So the men, like they it takes more courage to reach out, knowing that they don't have a very high chance at all, given, first of all, because the changing times, the culture of society and women's accomplishments, right? So no matter how attracted they are, they need a nudge. They need some positive sign from the women. Okay. Yeah, so also taking account that the figures, there being more highly eligible women than men out there. Yeah, the figures are not on women's side, so your chances of success would be higher if you reach out more, if you're more proactive in this regard in the highly competitive marriage market. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't make a move, then probably someone else will, right? So I would think that, yes, women should make a move when men are showing signs of interest first. Okay. Yeah. So remember, to open a crack in the door for the men to come in. Okay, so yeah, that's really important if you want to succeed in today's really cutthroat marriage market. Right. So, really glad you're here. Thank you so much. And well, hopefully, my voice would come back soon. Okay. So, have like a really happy holidays and see you next time on Love and Life Sorted. And remember to subscribe so that you don't miss an episode, and to come on to our Instagram page to join our discussions and look at some fun stuff. All right. Bye.